everybody in YouTube land. So today we've had our writing prompt, and tonight, we're going to talk about hyperinflation, what it is, are we there, what happens in hyperinflation, and what you can do to kind of prepare. So I am actually sitting outside one of my favorite Jacksonville restaurants. It's called Eddie's and Sons Cheesesteaks. It's made by a local couple. I don't know if it's a couple or not because I only know the chick. Maybe the dude's there, but he never works. Shocking. They are amazing. They're originally from Pennsylvania. They have some of the best. Oh my God! They have truffle fries. They have cheesesteak, like real cheesesteak. It's so good. They have Cheese Whiz, but there was a Cheese Whiz shortage last week, so I only got a little tiny cup, and it was like in a back cavern of hidden Cheese Whiz of all things. And I got a souffle cup of Cheese Whiz because I'm a regular and I'm a supporter and I love them so much. So if you're ever in Jacksonville, please check out Eddie's and Sons Cheesesteaks. You will not regret it. It is absolutely amazing. I'm actually getting ready to go have some as soon as we're done talking. So today, and forgive me, normally I have well prepared, what we're going to talk about, but I'm going to have to reference some material. So if you see me look down, that's what I'm doing. This is all my own original material. I don't have a ghostwriter. I'm like Kendrick Lamar. Okay, I write my own stuff. So, but I do need to reference it because I want to make sure there's an analogy that I'm going to use that I want to make sure I get correct, because I'm not going to have people saying, well, Jessica Bugg said blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not. No, I'm going to be accurate. So if you can go ahead and do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, share, comment that you're watching. It really helps me with the owl with rhythm. That's what I'm calling it, the owl with rhythm. Whatever the hell that is. I didn't go that far in math in school. Ironically, I know about economics. Go figure. Okay, so really what this is that it's an article that I actually wrote for Medium, which is an online platform that I absolutely love. I use it as an experimental tool to kind of see what resonates, what doesn't. This has been a piece that's really resonated, and I understand that not everybody's a reader. And it's a lot easier sometimes, even for me, who I'm an avid reader, to be able to just put on YouTube or put on an audiobook or whatever and get my news or my information that way. And so that's why I'm going to introduce it in this platform. This is information you need to know, okay? You need to know this information. So the title of my piece is, We Are Entering Hyperinflation, even if the news says we are not. You have to remember, the news is a trailing indicator. They don't report things before they happen. They only report them after they have happened, most of the time, except for the weather. And we had a hurricane that didn't even show up, okay? So that's what we're working with here, okay? So keep that in mind. The same people who are saying we're in inflation, we're not inflation, we're this, couldn't predict a hurricane with radar. Failed horribly. So let's keep that in mind. Okay, it's always good to have multiple sources of information. Don't just listen to me. I want you to listen to me, and I want you to listen to everybody you can get a hold of and make your own conclusions. Okay, we're trying to be educated people here. Okay, so first we're going to define what is inflation. So inflation is the rise in the cost of goods and services, largely due to an influx of cash into the economy. Now, you all may remember the tale. I don't know if you grew up in the church or not, but there was an African king who had so much gold that when he would visit an area to, tour and do his thing, he literally spent so much money that everything went up. That's inflation. So inflation can be because we have a spender. In the United States case, it's not a king with actual gold. It's the Federal Reserve printing more money and expanding the money supply. How do they do that? They do that by cutting the interest rates banks use to lend themselves money. So the bank lends you money, but then the bank will actually go back on the secondary market, and there are other banks that loan your bank money. And just because you deposit, let's say you deposit $100,000, okay, just because it's a nice round number, okay, and the bank makes a loan for $100,000. They don't actually have to have $100,000. Listen to this bullshit. Get ready. Fractional reserve lending. That's some sorcerous bullshit. I'm getting a button. Somebody send me a bullshit button. Okay, so what that means is they have $10,000. They can do it. They can loan on a multiplier of 10. Okay, here's 10,000 that you've deposited. They can loan 100,000. They take their loan debts and then they turn around and flip it on that secondary market and they borrow money. It's a whole that's a whole nother video. So bear with me. Okay. So interest rates are at an all-time low. All-time low. At the time I wrote this, I think interest rates were trending at 2.9% APR, and that's what we were receiving, meaning the banks were loaning themselves money at essentially almost nothing, because the interest rate that a good credit borrower in the consumer market will borrow money at is usually about double what the banks are borrowing at. So let's see, they're borrowing at 2.9%. That means they're exchanging money at like 1 to 1.5%, sometimes even less, which is terrifying. Okay, so this is the lowest that we've ever seen, ever. Like except in the history of, like, in biblical times where it was illegal to charge interest. Okay, so this is even lower than 2008, when we were told we would never, never, never see mortgages under 4 to 5%, ever, never. Okay, and now we're at almost half that. Let that resonate for a moment. So the cost of goods is rising. So while you can turn on the TV and it says, oh, you know, you can get a home loan and blah, 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 and that seems like a good thing. It is a good thing. If you're buying a house right now, that's a very good thing for you. But it's not always the case, okay? It's not always the case at all. Flipping over my piece of paper. Okay. So, for example, we have little Joey. Joey lives in Jacksonville, because everyone should live in Jacksonville. And Joey wants to buy a house, okay? And this is before COVID, okay? So Joey crunches the numbers with his wonderful mortgage broker that's over at, you know, Carrington Mortgage, and says, I can only, you know, he comes to the conclusion he can only afford about $1,200 a month to pay in the mortgage, okay? So with that, he may only be able to he's going to get around 140, 150,000, okay? That was when interest rates were hovering right at 5%, 4%, okay? Now that the interest rates are at 2.9%, little Joey can now take out a mortgage. We're looking at 170 to 180,000 plus his down payment. Okay, give or take $20, maybe $50. Okay. Well, see, the problem was Joey couldn't buy in 2019 because $150,000 wouldn't buy you a house in Jacksonville. So Joey is so excited now. He has gone back to Carrington Mortgage, and they are fantastic, by the way. If you need a good loan, check them out. So anyway, Joey could not afford one, okay? Not at all. He could not afford a single-family home. Joey could afford a condo. Hang on, it's getting in the way of my titties. All right. So, now he's looking at, well, let's say 180, 200,000 for a starter home in 2019, okay? Joey is sad. He doesn't want a condo. He wants a yard because he already lives in an apartment, and he doesn't want to have neighbors like that, and he wants to be able to do what he wants. So he has two choices in 2019. He can buy a condo, or he can wait until he has a large down payment. But Joey's already working 2 jobs, and it's going to take him a long time to save for a down payment. But then the interest rates dropped. As we said earlier, Joey had 2 choices. He could either go ahead and buy a condo in 2019, or he could hold out, save up a bigger down payment, and try again next year. That's what Joey decided to do. The mortgage interest rates have been cut, so he gets a call from the mortgage broker saying, Joey, it's the best time ever for you to buy a house. The interest rates are 2.5%, 2.9%. We got to buy right now. They could go up at any second, which they're not going to. They're not going to. They're not going up for a while. Okay, so don't be strong-armed into purchasing because they tell you it's going up. They don't even know what the interest rates are today. I'm just going to level with you. Okay. So now Joey, with that same $1,200 a month, same $1,200, Joey makes no more money. His credit isn't better. He didn't like get a, sugar mama. He didn't do any of that. Now his $1,200 will buy $180,000. Joey is so excited. Joey is going to go get that single family starter home. He's going to have a backyard with cornhole. He's going to entertain strange hoes. He is going to do the thing. He's going to get his starter single family home. So he's armed with his pre-approval, little Joey is, for $180,000, okay? Joey begins to look at single family homes now because he has an extra $30K to play with, right? He for sure can get his single family house. But the problem is he can't. Because while Joey received more buying power because the interest rates dropped, so did everyone else. Home prices, as a result, rise when interest rates are low because more people can afford to buy more property. Not more as in bigger, better, we got a dock on the river, but bigger as in they cost more money at the end game. They cost the same monthly, but more in the end, okay? Joey is now still priced out. But Jessica, everybody's buying all the things right now and the stock market's up and the TV says the economy's great. Keep in mind, the news trails recessions usually by a 6-month lag time. It's equitable to the amount of time it takes your parents to discover the newest rap song, okay, or new TV show, even though it's already on season 2. The news will always be a trailing indicator. Even the economic reports are trailing indicators. By the time they say we are in a recession or experiencing inflation, we have probably already been in that situation for 6 months or longer and are almost headed to recovery by the time it's reported. Except for me, because you watch me. So, we're going to go over our inflation checklist. Did the Federal Reserve inject more money into the economy? Sure did. Are interest rates artificially low? You already know. Has the actual cost of housing increased? Yeah, because the same shithole down the street, right down there, cost $150,000 like last year, and now they want $225,000, and it's not even upgraded. There's no pool. There's no pool boys. There's no nothing. Like, there's no gate. Like, it's 1,000 square feet. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here with your $225,000 on a 1,000 square foot bungalow. Y'all New Yorkers moving in are distorting Florida's market, but that is another video. Okay, I love New Yorkers. I love them. Love a New Yorker. But damn, y'all can't be buying this shit. Y'all need to hold out. Anyway, moving along. Other goods. And now I'm looking just at the housing index right now. Has the cost of groceries increased? Yes. I don't really buy groceries. I eat out for every meal. All of them. Except twice a year when I cook for my children because they ask me to. But the cost of food has gone up. Whether you're eating at Eddie's and Sons cheesesteaks or you're shopping at Publix or Winn-Dixie. Okay? Has the cost of gasoline increased? Not yet. And the reason why it has not increased is, you remember at the beginning of the pandemic when we thought this was all not going to be a big deal, like back in March, and we thought we were all just going to have like a 2-week paid vacation? Trump stated that he had purchased oil futures at a very good price, which he did, okay? And due to his purchase of these oil futures, that is why our gas rates are still low today. As soon as we run out of that supply, you can look for the gas prices to just get a bike or get a Tesla. Get a Tesla. Elon, I can't wait till Elon discovers me on YouTube. Elon, I love you. I really just get a Tesla. Okay. Now we're going to discuss your money coming in. Money going out has increased. Let's talk about your money. Are wages increasing? This shouldn't even be a thing. Like, did your wages increase? Sure didn't. So let's think about that, okay? When the cost of goods is increasing, while the purchasing power of you, meaning how many things you can buy with the money you make, decreases. Let me say that again for people who are having trouble following me. I know this is hard. That means it takes more money to buy the same thing, and the quantity and or quality has not been increased. So let's say I buy my soda from Speedway every day for 85 cents, which I do, okay? And then one day I walk in and magically it's $1.10, which it is not, but it could be, okay? That is an example of inflation. You are now in an inflation state. Let me rephrase that just one more time. You aren't making more money, but yet the cost to buy things in order for you to live and take care of your family are increasing. Does anyone see the problem? It does not matter what the TV told you. That is the definition of inflation. And honey, it is here right now. We are in an inflation state, and it's actually just been delayed. We're going to see inflation like we have never seen. Never. In the next 18 to 24 months. But Jessica, a lot of states voted to up the minimum wage so we don't have to worry about inflation. I know. My state is one of them. In the great state of Florida, we voted to increase minimum wage to $15 an hour to help workers who are on the more fragile end of the workforce that we rely on to do so many tasks and so many, they basically are the fabric of our society, if we're going to be honest. But remember our friend Joey who wanted to buy the house before? Well, the same scenario can be applied to raising wages across the board for a large majority of the population at once. Okay, yes, they will make more money, but because everyone else is making more money as well, their buying and purchasing power quotient has not increased. I came up with that term. Y'all like it? Buying and purchasing power quotient. All right, so now we got to discuss the two types of poverty in America or in anywhere. Okay, there's absolute poverty, which means no one has shit. Okay, example would be like impoverished third world countries or my home state of Kentucky. This is where nobody has food, nobody has water. We're at a very we're just trying to survive. Okay, there's relative poverty, which means you just have less than those around you. These are the people that you're competing with for goods and services, okay? So I have more purchasing power when I'm in a smaller area. In the south side of Jacksonville, where there's a lot of high-income earners, I have less purchasing power because there are more people with more money to compete with, okay? That brings me to the economic competition factor, another term that I contrived, which I love. And that's why I've always hated the bullshit quotation about if you have $5 in your pocket, you're richer than 98% of the world. Listen, Pastor Bob, I don't live in a third world country where that will buy something. I live in the United States of America where at best it might purchase me a fountain drink and a half a pretzel at Wawa. Only half because one would cost too much. Okay, so this whole, if you have $5, you're richer than everybody else. It doesn't matter because you don't have, that's something they say to keep you poor. Okay, that's some bullshit that they tell you to keep you poor. Okay, no, that doesn't make me feel better. $5 still means JEA is cutting my shit off. T-Mobile, everything. They're coming to get in the car. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that Jerry, who lives in Thailand, doesn't have $5. That's irrelevant because you're not competing with people in Thailand to get your goods, your services, your housing. You're competing with people in your neighborhood, in your town, in your city. Okay? I need y'all to feel me on this. Okay? So, purchasing power is measured by how much you can use your dollars to obtain. What will your amount of income obtain for you? And how does that relate? I got a message. And how does that relate to the other buyers in your area, the people that you're competing with for goods and services? Example one, you make $100,000 in rural Alabama. You're fucking rich because very few people there earn that level of income. You have little economic competition and therefore benefit from a higher quality of life. Okay? Example number two, you make that same $100,000 salary in San Francisco. You are not even middle class. You have tremendous amounts of economic competition and therefore suffer from a lower quality of life, which is why you have people who work for Google, and I love Google, who are making $100K and choosing to live in camper vans because there are so many high-income earners because San Francisco just has so many intelligent, talented people that $100,000 barely cuts it. Okay? So, your benefit of being able to borrow more money for the same cost or to increase minimum wage is only a benefit. Hear me on this. If you or a minority of the people have access to the funding, because you've increased your ability to compete for collection of goods and services compared to your geographical economic peers, your neighbors, the people who live down the street, so on and so forth. It's why we use comps for housing prices, okay? If my neighbor is selling his house with the gilded statues for $2.3 million, that means my house now also goes for more, even though it's the same damn house, okay? Because that means there are people who will buy it. All right. So here's the shitty part. When everyone has access to increased funding, although you may have more money to spend than before, and we're talking about sticker price, the end price, not, oh, but my payment's $800. No. That's how broke middle class $50 millionaires saying, but my payment's only $500. No, we're talking about the end cost. Okay. When you have access to more money, but everyone else also has access to more money, and it's the same amount of money, nothing has changed to improve your situation. In fact, you are worse off than before. Hear me. You are worse off than before because you have to pay more money for the same thing with no increase of quantity, quality, or future value. Let me say that one more time. That's huge. So nothing has changed. Just because you're able to borrow more money for a house and they might increase your minimum wage, nothing has changed because it's been across the board. You did not become a more superior economic peer in your area. What does help you, what will benefit you, is increasing income. I do not think everybody has to go back to college. I do not think you need to necessarily go to a trade program. Figure out ways to increase your income yourself so that you can be economically competitive. So, you have not benefited from the raise in minimum wage. You have not benefited from being able to borrow more money on a house because all that happened was the housing prices went up. At best, the result of this is net neutral impact. I will go further and say it is negative for all involved. Top down, bottom up, side to side, back to back. It's bad for everybody, okay? I thought about addressing stagnant wages as well, but I feel that most people are aware of this, and I think it would need to be a separate video. So in conclusion, does Jessica Bugg believe we are already in a state of inflation, which is defined as the cost of base goods and services is rising due to an artificially propped market? Yes. Is the media telling you about this? No, but that's a whole nother video. So today, did we learn about inflation, economic competition, economic peers, geographical economic peers, and how the two simultaneously affect quality of life? We sure did. We sure did. So if you got something from this video, if you learned a little something, if you want to check out the article, I'm going to try to figure out how to link it. I got a little girl who, she prints my stuff and, she helps me, stay kind of on my shit. She's going to help me, put the links down. I don't know how to put the links down below. So if any of y'all know how to do that, have at it. But I will have the Medium article linked, so you can use that for further reading. Like, subscribe, share. I'm loving all your all support. It has been a phenomenal ride. I'm so excited. I decided to explore this kind of version of creation. It has been one of the coolest things ever. So I hope you all have a great evening. Be watching for another video in about the next 12 hours. And that is actually going to cover copywriting. So that's going to be for more of my writers or people who are looking to earn more income, because copywriting is an excellent source of extra money for those who are inclined to write. And, we're kind of looking for something when you don't know if you're going to be on lockdown again. So, all right, everybody, have a great day. Make all the money. Do all the things. Say all the words.